3 in the morning, June 6, 1982. A hillside in southern Lebanon. No moon, no light. 88 Israeli soldiers are climbing in the dark toward a fortress that has not fallen in 900 years. They've trained for this one assault for years. Every trench, every firing position, every stone, memorized. What none of them know is that an order has already been issued to call the whole thing off. The castle doesn't need to be taken. Someone, far behind the lines, has decided to let it go. That order will never reach them. Leading the climb is a man named Guni Harnik. 1 week ago, he was a civilian, discharged, starting a new life. When the call came, he drove back so fast his vehicle flipped on the road. He crawled out and kept going. When his men saw him, they cheered. He will be dead before sunrise. The fortress they were climbing toward had been watching this valley for 900 years. Crusaders built it. Saladin took it. The Knights Templar owned it. Ottoman tax collectors ruled from it. Palestinian guerrillas fired rockets from it. Every empire that ever wanted southern Lebanon wanted this rock first, and Israel had already tried to take it once and failed. Tonight they would finally take it. 6 men would die doing it, and every one of those deaths would turn out to be unnecessary. This is the story of Beaufort Castle, a fortress so perfectly placed that every army in history fought to hold it, and so deeply cursed that not one of them ever held it for good. The Arabic name is Qal'at al-Shaqif, the Castle of the High Rock. You have to see it to understand. It rises 717 meters above sea level, over 2,000 feet, atop a cliff of sheer basalt that drops 300 meters straight down to the Litani River. On a clear day, from the top of its towers, you can see all the way to Israel. You can watch armies move. You can spot artillery targets. You can watch an empire dissolve. Whoever holds this rock holds the key to southern Lebanon. In 1139, Fulk, the king of Jerusalem, captured the hilltop fortification from local Arab defenders and gave it to the lords of Sidon, and so Crusader stonemasons went to work. They built it to last. Massive basalt blocks, walls 4 meters thick, towers designed for vertical defense. They called it Belfort, the beautiful fortress. To them, beauty and strength were the same thing. For more than a century, the castle passed between the great houses of the Crusader kingdom. Raynald of Sidon held it. The Knights Templar bought it. And when the great Saladin swept through the Levant, dismantling the Crusader presence piece by piece, Beaufort was one of the very last to resist. The story of how Saladin finally took Beaufort is not a story of conquest. It's a story of a man trying to save his family and failing at everything. By 1189, Raynald of Sidon was a survivor. He'd been at Hattin. He'd watched the kingdom of Jerusalem shatter around him. Now Saladin stood before his walls. So Raynald played for time. He sent word to Saladin, claiming sympathy for the Muslim cause. He said he would surrender the castle willingly, if Saladin would just let him retrieve his family from Tyre first. Saladin listened, and then he said no. Surrender the castle now, or there is no deal. Raynald's garrison refused. They would not give up the rock. So Saladin took Raynald prisoner and the siege began. 1 year later, in 1190, the exhausted garrison finally surrendered, and Beaufort Castle passed into Muslim hands. Raynald walked free. The castle was lost. The Crusaders took the castle back in 1240, through treaty rather than blood. The Knights Templar held it. For another 3 decades, the white and red cross flew above the Litani. Then came Baibars. Sultan Baibars was not interested in treaties. He was the hammer of the Crusader kingdoms, the man who would finally drive the Europeans from the Holy Land. In 1268, his forces took Beaufort Castle. This time, the Crusaders were never coming back. The stones stayed, the banners changed. The view from the top remained exactly the same. 700 years passed. Empires rose and fell. The Ottoman Turks came and went. Lebanon became a republic, then a battlefield, then both at once. By the late 1970s, the Palestine Liberation Organization controlled much of southern Lebanon. They needed bases. They needed high ground. They needed something that could not be easily taken. They found Qal'at al-Shaqif. The PLO didn't just occupy Beaufort Castle. They embraced its symbolism. Saladin had taken this fortress from the Crusaders. Now they would hold it against the new power pressing from the south. The castle appeared on PLO leaflets, a seal, an emblem, a declaration. We are still here. From 717 meters up, PLO spotters could direct artillery onto Israeli positions in the Galilee. Even Syria sent observers to the tower to coordinate fire. Israel shelled the fortress again and again. The medieval basalt stone absorbed every round. The castle that had survived Saladin's siege, the Crusader reconquest, and the hammers of Baibars, was laughing at modern artillery. In August 1980, Israel decided enough was enough. The IDF launched an operation to finally take Beaufort. Air Force, artillery, a full assault by the Golani Brigade's infantry unit. They were beaten back. 3 Israeli soldiers were killed. 29 Palestinians died. But the castle held. The failure humiliated Israel, and it motivated the Palestinians. They immediately reinforced, digging deeper into the hillsides, pouring concrete into firing positions, creating interlocking fields of fire. When the Israelis came back, and they would, it would be even harder. The Golani Commando Unit was given one assignment: study this castle, learn every trench, train for the assault, be ready. 2 weeks before the war that would change everything, before the 1982 invasion, Yasser Arafat climbed the hill. He sat with the 21 men defending the castle. He looked them in the eye, and he made them a promise. "Don't worry," he told them. "In 36 hours of fighting, we can get a ceasefire." The sector commander pushed back. "There is no way we can withstand an Israeli attack for 36 hours. Arafat didn't listen. He flew back to Beirut. The 21 men stayed on the hill. June 6, 1982. The 1982 Lebanon War begins. At Israel's General Staff, a decision is made. The Beaufort assault should be postponed. The IDF has chosen to cross the Litani River via a different bridge than originally planned, a route that bypasses the castle entirely. Strategically, Beaufort no longer needs to be taken. An order is issued. Postpone the operation. The order never arrives. The Golani commandos are already moving. The man leading the assault is not the man who was supposed to be there. Moshe Kaplinsky, the Golani commando commander, is gravely wounded on the road before even reaching Belfort. The mission needs a replacement immediately, and so they call Guni Harnik. He'd been honorably discharged from the army just 1 week before. He was supposed to be starting a new life. Instead, he gets a phone call. "Get back here." His unit needs him. Harnik drives toward Beaufort so fast that his armored personnel carrier flips over on the road. He climbs out. His men stare. He nods. They continue. When the unit sees him, the men cheer. He was legendary in the commando unit. Calm under fire, decisive, deeply respected. With Harnik leading, anything felt possible. If Beaufort Castle, 900 years of conquest, occupation, and return, Crusaders, Saladin, PLO, IDF 1982, Withdrawal 2000, Recapture 2026, fascinate you, you're exactly where you need to be. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. We drop a new story every single week. Now, back to the fortress that never surrenders, Beaufort Castle. The plan was a daylight attack, but the roads of South Lebanon were clogged with military traffic, and the tanks kept breaking down. By 4 p.m., the force had reached the heights above Beaufort, without a single tank, no armor support, a night assault with infantry only. At dusk, Israel opened with a massive artillery and air bombardment. Cluster bombs fell across the castle grounds. The 21 Palestinian defenders, dug into their concrete bunkers, emerged completely unharmed. The thick medieval stone had done its work again, but the ground was now buried under unexploded munitions. Trying to reach the armory meant risking stepping on a bomb. 2 fighters were wounded, just trying to clear a path. Then, the Palestinians shot down an Israeli A-4 Skyhawk with a shoulder-fired missile. The pilot, Captain Aharon Akiaz, parachuted into PLO territory. He was taken to Beirut. On the hill, night fell. The assault began. The engineering company went first, slipping through the outer defenses and taking the antenna position. One man killed, several wounded. They had made it through. The commandos came next. Machine gun fire tore across the hillside. Of the 23 commandos, only 7 or 8 made it to their objective. 2 more were killed, 4 wounded. The rest were pinned down in the darkness, unable to advance, unable to fall back. Mordecai Goldman pulled together what he had. He led a second assault. They fought their way to the main bunker, a single Palestinian fighter in a reinforced concrete position, holding his machine gun, refusing to stop. The Palestinian killed Guni Harnik with a single bullet to the chest. Goldman threw an explosive charge. The position was destroyed. Medical evacuation was delayed until nearly dawn. Weather continued firing. The wounded waited on the hillside. When the sun rose, the full toll became clear. 6 Israeli soldiers were dead, including the man who had driven back from civilian life, whose APC had flipped on the road, who had climbed the hill anyway. The Golani Commando Unit's legendary commander, Guni Harnik, was gone. By 6:30 a.m., Beaufort Castle was Israeli territory. Soldiers spread out and climbed to the roof. It was deserted. They found a rope ladder hanging down the far wall. Some of the Palestinians had escaped during the night. Among the dead, Yaqub Sumor, the commander of the castle garrison, his deputy, most of the 21 men who had stayed when Arafat left. That same day, Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Defense Minister Ariel Sharon arrived at Beaufort Castle with journalists and cameras. Nobody briefed them on the casualties. Sharon stood before the cameras and declared the battle had been won without a single Israeli casualty. It was a lie. 6 soldiers were dead. Their families had not yet been notified. Chief of Staff Raphael Eitan was astounded when he learned the death toll. Later, looking at the Palestinian trenches, Begin asked, "Did they have machine guns?" It became one of the defining questions of the entire Lebanon War, a symbol of how little the men giving orders understood about the men carrying them out. The Golani Brigade commander would later say, in retrospect, he would not have ordered the attack on Beaufort at all. The order to stop never arrived, and 6 men died for a position that the General Staff had already decided wasn't necessary. Israel held Beaufort Castle for 18 years. Through the 1980s and 1990s, PLO rockets were replaced by Hezbollah rockets. The shelling never stopped. IDF soldiers rotated through the post, weeks at a time on a haunted hill, watching the valley below, waiting. Hundreds of Israeli soldiers died in the broader South Lebanon occupation. The public grew weary. What were they still doing there? What had it accomplished? Meanwhile, down in the lower sections of the castle, sealed off since the battle because of mines and unexploded cluster bombs, a man's remains lay undiscovered. Yaqub Sumur, the commander who had fought to the last, whose body had never been found. He would wait 22 years. In May 2000, Prime Minister Ehud Barak ordered the withdrawal. 18 years. The IDF was coming home. They left in the dark. By design, in secret, Israeli forces evacuated Beaufort Castle under cover of darkness, denying Hezbollah the image of Israeli soldiers retreating in daylight, denying them the victory photograph. Before they left, they detonated their own compound, blew it up, turned the military installation they'd built around the medieval fortress into rubble, rather than leave it standing for Hezbollah to occupy. The ancient stone of Beaufort Castle watched them go. It had seen this before. In 2007, an Israeli film captured what those 18 years had felt like from the inside. Beaufort, directed by Joseph Cedar, won the Silver Bear at the Berlin Film Festival, was nominated for the Academy Award. It followed soldiers in the final days before the withdrawal, isolated, exhausted, questioning everything. The film made Beaufort synonymous with one word in Israeli culture: futility. 4 years after the Israelis left, workers entered the sealed lower sections of the castle. They found Yaqub Sumor. He was still there, in the position where he had fallen on June 6, 1982. 22 years in the dark, beneath the stones of a castle that had outlasted armies for 9 centuries. He was buried with full military honors at the Ain al-Hilweh refugee camp in Lebanon. His deputy, Mohammed Abu Saleh, was found beside him. At 26 years after the Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, on May 31, 2026, Israeli forces crossed the Litani River again. It was the deepest ground advance into Lebanon in a quarter century. The war that had started with Hamas and Gaza had pulled Lebanon in, Hezbollah opening a front, rockets and drones targeting northern Israel, months of escalation, a ceasefire agreement in April that neither side fully respected. And now Israel was moving north, toward the Litani, toward the Nabatea Hills, toward the castle on the cliff. The Golani Brigade took Beaufort Castle, the same brigade, the same castle. The Israeli flag went up. The Golani Brigade flag went up. 44 years after Guni Harnik died climbing these walls, his unit was back. Prime Minister Netanyahu made a statement. "We returned," he said, "stronger than ever." The IDF's objectives: establish operational control of the Beaufort Ridge, dismantle Hezbollah infrastructure in the Wadi al-Saluki area, secure the high ground, the same reason, always the same reason. Here is what 9 centuries at Beaufort Castle teaches you. The Crusaders built something they believed would last forever. It lasted 130 years. Saladin took it through patience and one man's desperate negotiation. The Crusaders took it back. Baibars ended the Crusader chapter permanently, or so everyone thought. The PLO used it as a symbol and a firing position. Israel shelled it for a decade and couldn't break through. Then Israel took it in a battle that cost 6 men's lives for a strategic position that didn't even need to be taken, because an order got lost somewhere on the road. Israel held it for 18 years, blew up what it had built, and left in darkness. And then, 26 years later, came back. The castle doesn't care. That's the truth of Beaufort. The stone that absorbed Crusader arrows, Saladin's catapults, Israeli cluster bombs, and Hezbollah rockets. It will absorb whatever comes next. It has been watching this valley for 900 years, and it will be watching when the last flag comes down. Every army that has stood on these walls has believed they would be the last. Every one of them was wrong. The view from the top never changes. The armies do.